Hi everyone, my name's Laura and this is my channel So Very Laura. Welcome if you're new here and welcome back if you're an existing subscriber. So today it's my turn on the vlogger tour for the So To Celebrate To challenge, which is being run in November to celebrate the second birthday of Stash Hub, which is the fabulous organisation app created by Yvette and Doug, who have set up Stash Hub for us all to benefit from. So the challenge is essentially to sew up 2 meters of cotton or a cotton blend fabric, ideally from your stash, and post pictures on Instagram over the month of November, obviously tagging in Stash Hub. So what I will do is I will link Yvette's video and put some more details in the description so that you can find out more about the challenge. But as there's lots of lovely vloggers doing this, I don't propose to go through the rules in huge amounts of detail. But that's fundamentally what the challenge is. And cotton has been chosen by Yvette and Doug because cotton is the present for a second wedding anniversary, so that's why they chose it. And there are prizes, hence me just mentioning prize. So let's get into my thoughts. So if you've seen me before, you might realise that I'm not actually in my usual recording space. I'm actually sitting in my mum's conservatory because the light in here is pretty good, although it's flipping freezing, so I had to put my boots on in order to record, so I haven't got cold feet. So I've got some notes on my iPad, so apologies if I keep looking down. But what I thought I'd do, it's already, when you see this, the 17th of November. So what I thought I would do is try to put together what I would call a speedy sewing capsule cotton wardrobe for you. So what I've done is I've picked out, I think there's 9 patterns, 8 of which you might use to make up a cotton wardrobe capsule, and then there's one which I've just popped in if you've got a bit of fabric over and you're thinking of something that you might want to make with it. So the other thing that I just wanted to mention briefly, I've talked about the fact that we can use cotton or cotton blends like cotton jersey or cotton polyester mixes or whatever. But I also just wanted to touch briefly on what we mean by 2 meters. Because obviously 2 meters can mean different things to different people, because depending on your body size and shape, you may or may not be able to get a garment out of 2 meters. And it might also depend what view of the pattern you want to make. And it could depend on whether or not the fabric that you've chosen is directional, because if it's got a very directional print, then your 2 meters might be needed to make up a garment that would only take 1.5 meters of the plain fabric, for example. So I'm taking the view that hopefully Yvette is going to be quite relaxed about this. And she was digging out on her vlog some fabrics that were, say, 2.5 meters. And I would say just don't overthink it. I think it's one of those things where if we're in more or less the ballpark of 2 meters, then I think we'll be fine. So shall we get into it? So the first pattern that I've picked is a t-shirt, and this is the Iris Tee by Forget Me Not Patterns. And I should say most of these, but not all, I own, and some of them I've made. So I've made the Iris Tee. Now, if you make the long sleeve version of this, it's got you can put pleating on the sleeves. So I'll pop a pic in of it, and the amount of fabric, which cotton jersey, that you would need is around about 2 meters for that. I've made both versions of it. I've made it with the short sleeve and the long sleeve. I actually prefer the longer sleeve one, and it's one of those t-shirts that's kind of elevated with a bit of a twist. But I think it qualifies for a speedy sew because other than the bottoms of the sleeves, which you do have to think about a little bit. It's basically straightforward jersey pattern, can be whizzed up on an overlocker or with a zigzag stitch or Maraflex on your sewing machine. And I really like this pattern. So that would be my t-shirt. And then I've popped in a sweater, and for this one I've gone for a Tammy handmade pattern, which is the Myla jumper. Now I own this, and I've got some fabric to make it in, although I don't actually think it's got any cotton in it. But I do intend to make it at some point. But again, this is a kind of, it's a sort of sloppy style sweater, and you could make it in a cotton-based sweatshirting or a lightweight cotton knit, as long as it's something with a bit of drape. And again, it's around about the 2 metre mark, and I just really like this, and I think in this kind of changing weather, so where I am at the moment, which is further north in England than I would usually be, it's really changeable weather. So yesterday morning it was freezing cold, but by 8 o'clock at night it had actually warmed up a bit, so it's very weird. So yes, a nice kind of chuck on sweater that you could pop over a t-shirt, or you could just wear on its own. So that's the sweater pattern. And then for trousers, I've actually gone for a woven pair of trousers. Again, the pattern's in my stash. I would have fabric to make this in my stash because it suggests things like a cotton twill. So it's sort of a light to medium weight fabric with a bit of structure. And this is the Itch to Stitch Tiaras woven joggers. So you can see it's a nice casual pair. It's an elasticated waist, so no difficult fly zips or anything like that. So again, hopefully this should be a relative speedy sew. So if you chose these, you should be able to get them done by the end of November. And I think they're nice and practical, and I think depending on what you wore them with, and particularly if you put something like a drapey sweater over to cover the elasticated waist, you could make them quite smart for work, or you could make them much more casual for wearing at home and round about. So that would be a trouser pick. And I've tried to do it so that I've only picked one pattern from each pattern company. So there are other things that I could have picked from Itch to Stitch. I was quite tempted to pick the Yvette top, which I'm actually wearing today. Am I? Yes, I am, in my pink cotton jersey fabric with like black cat telephones on it. But I thought I'd try and pick a spread of pattern companies for you. Next on my list is a skirt, and this is one I haven't made, but I have thought about buying. I've held off because it's part of a set, and this is the Friday Pattern Company's Saturday skirt, and I keep hearing really good things about this skirt. And actually, I wanted to make a skirt in it from a viscose fabric, which is why I've been thinking about it. But you could make a skirt in a beautiful cotton lawn using this pattern. So it's got an elasticated waist, very little in terms of actual pattern detailing. So if you've got a pattern like a cotton lawn with a really bold print on it, this would be a really good chance to show it off, should I say. And you need anything from 1.9 to about, I think it's 2.3 meters to make the skirt. It does also, of course, come with the top, and I think probably the top is not for me, and that's why I've not chosen to buy the pattern as yet. But I do think it's a lovely skirt, and again, I think it would be a speedy sew in a light cotton fabric. So then I wanted to include a couple of, how would I put it, all body garments. I can't think of the word today. So my first one is a set of dungarees or overalls, and this is a pattern I've made and would happily make again. And it's actually a free pattern, and it is the Life So Savoury dungarees. They're actually called, full length jumpsuit it's called. And I really like this pattern when I made it. I'll pop a pic in of me in them, and I made it in a kind of tie-dye lightweight denim. I think if I make them again, and certainly if I make them in a heavier fabric, I'd probably pick something like a stretch denim, but they've got these kind of tie straps. Now the pattern reckons you need a bit more than 2 meters, not much more, something like 2.5. 2.3. I am sure that I bought 2 meters of fabric and I have got some left. So yes, it's definitely doable with around 2 meters of fabric. But I really like those. And again, I think for this time of year, going for autumn walks and things with a nice warm sweater underneath, something like the, or even over the top actually, if you popped a t-shirt on and then these dungarees and then popped the Myla sweater over the top, I think you'd have a really nice look and you'd just look like you were wearing jeans really if you made them in denim, or you could make them in a kind of brighter twill. The ones that the designer made them in are actually in linen, but you could certainly use a cotton. I did. Next, I've popped in a dress, and this is the Sew Over It Molly. It's actually a top and dress, but in terms of looking at sewing up 2 meters, most of the measurements for the dress are 2 meters or a little bit over, and this is a really casual t-shirt style dress, so you could make it in a cotton jersey and with tights and boots at this time of year. I think that would look lovely. Now that's in the ebook, the City Break ebook. Now I haven't made the dress, but I have made the t-shirt out of that pattern. It's a drop shoulder. It's quite close fitting, so I think I made a 14, and at the time I made it I wasn't that thrilled with it, but I think I've lost a little bit of weight since then and it's probably okay on me now. But I think it's one to think carefully about the sizing on, because I think generally Sew Over It patterns tend to come up quite big, but because that one's quite figure hugging, it doesn't really. So again, that's a jersey pattern, stretch knit pattern. And staying on the stretch knit theme, I've also gone for, and this is my banker, so I'll pop a pic up of my, it's cut out at the minute and I've got it with me to sew it. I just need to get some elastic. The Tilly and the Buttons Juno pyjamas. So again, I think it says you need, it just over, it's like 2.3 meters I think for sizes 1 to 6 of the pajamas. So if you just made the bottoms you'd have nearly 2 meters, and I've a feeling that I've cut it out of 2.5 meters, and I've certainly got quite a bit of fabric left, but obviously you've got the ribbing on the bottom of the legs, and you've got ribbing around the cuffs and the top. So I think certainly if you were making the pajama bottoms you would get to 2 meters. I've gone a bit over maybe, but I was going to make these anyway, and certainly if you just wanted a pair of the pajama bottoms you'd be around about the 2 meter mark. And that comes from Tilly's book Make It Simple. But actually I've had the pattern longer than that, because when the book first came out, I think it was with one of the sewing magazines, the Juno pyjamas were released just as a kind of freebie, and I've since gone on to buy the book. But I've made them several times before. I made them for me, and I've also made them for my aunt, and now I'm making another pair for me as it gets colder. So I'm doing the, I should say, for the meterage, I'm talking about the long sleeve version of the long sleeved and long trouser version of the pajamas, because obviously you could do them with short sleeves and short as shorts, but you wouldn't be near the 2 meter mark so much then. So yes, even a pair of pajamas in my capsule wardrobe for if you go away for a weekend. And finally, in terms of the actual capsule wardrobe for an adult, I've got it's actually a unisex pattern. It's a classic adult, the adult classic sweatshirt from Peekaboo Patterns, and it's also a hoodie. So you've got kind of various permutations. You can put a kanga pocket on it and not have the hoodie, which is you have to cut the hoodie pattern bit out twice because it's lined. So depending on your size and depending if you want to put the kanga pocket on or not, again you're coming in at around about 2 meters, and I have made this and I used super snuggly soft I think it's a fleeceback French terry. So I'll pop a picture in of me in mine, and I can really recommend that pattern. And if you sign up to Peekaboo Patterns Facebook group, or you join their, you sign up for their newsletter, you can get that pattern for free. If you don't want to, it's something like $5. So those are my capsule wardrobe patterns for an adult. But particularly in terms of the cotton jersey, if you're finding that you're coming in under 2 meters, Yvette has said that it's fine to make more than one thing out of your 2 meters. So I've popped in the Brindle and Twig Ringer T99, which again is a free pattern, and it's a children's t-shirt pattern. So if you've just got a little bit of fabric, you know, after you've made something, you could make that if you have a small person in your life that you could sew for. So small people in my life extend to work colleagues' children. I don't have any small people of my own except my cats, but I have made that and it went down very well. So those are my suggestions for how to create a speedy cotton capsule wardrobe, bearing in mind that we only have about 13 days of this challenge left. So I hope you've enjoyed my suggestions. I'd love to hear from you in the comments as to whether or not you're going in for this challenge, and if so, what you're going to be making. So yeah, do let me know, and I hope to see you again very soon with another video. I am ending up staying up here longer than I'd originally intended, but I have got some sewing things with me, and I'm meeting up with my husband tomorrow, and he's going to bring me some more, including the bias binding machine, so I can have a bash at that and let you know how I get on. So yes, I'm away from home, but hopefully I will be able to bring you a video again very soon. So hope you're all getting some time to sew, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.